Look around any American breakfast table and you'll see the residual fear of a dietary recommendation that began over 50 years ago. A fear encapsulated in a single shiny shell, the egg. For decades, we've existed in a state of nutritional paralysis, told simultaneously that eggs are nature's perfect protein and a ticking cholesterol time bomb. This isn't just a simple dietary choice, it is a profound cultural conflict that has made us, the US audience, unnecessarily afraid of one of the cheapest, most nutrient-dense foods available. You have probably stood in the grocery aisle, hand hovering over the carton, mentally calculating your weekly egg allowance as if you were rationing scarce supplies. That mental calculation, that ingrained fear, is what this video is finally going to extinguish. We are not just exploring the question of what happens when you eat 3 to 4 eggs daily. We are deconstructing the entire historical and scientific narrative that led to this paralyzing confusion, proving that the real dangers are not what the government or the media led us to believe in the 1970s. We're going to dive deep into the science of satiety, brain fuel, and the real causes of cardiovascular risk, ensuring that by the end of this journey, you are equipped with the unassailable truth necessary to take back your breakfast and, more importantly, your health decisions. So, settle in, because this investigation is comprehensive, and the answers are far more complex and liberating than a simple yes or no. To truly understand what 4 eggs a day means now, we must first confront the source of the decades-long anxiety. The fear can be traced back to the early 1970s, a period when American public health officials were desperately searching for a culprit behind the nation's soaring rates of heart disease. Scientists identified cholesterol, a waxy substance found both in the blood and in certain foods, as the prime suspect. Since one single egg yolk contains roughly 200 milligrams of dietary cholesterol, the conclusion seemed painfully simple and direct. Less dietary cholesterol means less blood cholesterol, which means less heart disease. The American Heart Association, government guidelines, and every doctor's office adopted this stance, creating a generational bias against eggs, especially the yolk. We were told to limit our intake, to substitute egg whites, and to view the egg as a splurge, not a staple. This fear wasn't entirely unfounded at the time. The science was rudimentary, focusing on chemical correlations rather than complex biological processes. It was a simplified binary approach to a problem that turned out to be profoundly nuanced. However, over the last 2 decades, the most rigorous scientific consensus, driven by large-scale observational studies and gold-standard randomized controlled trials, has completely overturned this simplistic paradigm. The key breakthrough discovery that fundamentally changed the scientific perspective is the concept of homeostatic regulation by the liver. For most of the human population, estimated to be around 70%, the amount of cholesterol we consume in our diet has a negligible effect on the amount of cholesterol circulating in our blood. Your liver is a masterpiece of biological engineering. When you increase your intake of dietary cholesterol, say, by eating 3 or 4 eggs, your liver senses this influx and simply throttles back its own internal production of cholesterol. It's an intricate internal feedback loop designed to keep your blood lipid levels stable. This biological reality means that for the average healthy American adult, the fear of the egg yolk is largely a vestige of outdated science. The modern narrative is no longer about the egg itself, but about the context and individual response. A distinction so critical that understanding it is the key to unlocking the full nutritional power of the egg. This historical journey from fear to liberation sets the stage for the true analysis. What that daily commitment of 3 to 4 eggs will actually do for your muscle, your brain, and your waistline, now that the cholesterol bomb myth has been neutralized for the majority. Now that the decades-old fear has been largely neutralized for the healthy majority, we can pivot to the incredible tangible benefits of committing to 3 to 4 eggs every single day. The impact of this dietary choice is immediate, profound, and targets 3 key areas relevant to the everyday American's pursuit of wellness: muscle preservation, cognitive function, and sustainable energy. Let's start with the most obvious and powerful effect: protein power and satiety. 3 to 4 large eggs deliver a staggering 18 to 24 grams of complete high-quality protein. Complete is the operative word here. Unlike many plant-based sources, eggs contain all 9 essential amino acids, the fundamental building blocks that your body cannot synthesize on its own. This amino acid profile is so perfect that it is often used as the biological reference standard for protein quality. For anyone engaged in resistance training, even moderate activity, this daily protein boost is a direct signal for muscle protein synthesis, or MPS. You are providing the body with the raw materials needed for muscle repair and growth at the most effective time of the day. This isn't just about building large muscles, it's about combating sarcopenia, the age-related decline in muscle mass that compromises strength, mobility, and metabolic health later in life. By incorporating this high volume of quality protein early in the day, you are making a powerful, preventative investment in your metabolic future. But the protein impact extends far beyond the gym. It fundamentally changes your relationship with food. This high-protein, high-fat, low-carb start to the day is a potent mechanism for weight management and energy stabilization. In multiple randomized trials, participants who swapped a refined carbohydrate breakfast, like cereal, muffins, or juice, for an egg-based breakfast reported significantly higher levels of satiety and a marked reduction in caloric intake over the subsequent 24-hour period. The protein and fat work synergistically to slow down gastric emptying, keeping your appetite hormones, specifically ghrelin, the hunger hormone, suppressed for hours. For the US audience battling the incessant desire to snack between meals, a 4-egg breakfast provides a robust buffer against mid-morning energy crashes and the inevitable reaching for a sugary fix. This metabolic stability is one of the most powerful, immediate benefits you will observe: sustained energy without the dramatic insulin spikes and crashes that plague the typical high-carb American breakfast. Finally, we cannot overstate the cognitive and neurological benefit, which lies entirely within the YOLK choline. The vast majority of Americans are technically deficient in this essential B vitamin, a nutrient critical for cell structure, liver function, and most importantly, brain health. A daily intake of 3 to 4 eggs supplies almost the entire recommended daily allowance of choline, upwards of 580 milligrams. Choline is the precursor molecule for acetylcholine, a primary neurotransmitter vital for memory, mood, and deep-level concentration. By consistently fueling your brain with this high concentration of choline, you are optimizing the efficiency of your neural pathways. For students, professionals, or aging adults concerned about cognitive decline, the egg yolk acts as a dedicated brain tonic. This targeted nutritional support, combined with the power of complete protein, makes the 3 to 4 egg daily commitment an unparalleled strategy for physical and mental peak performance. Having celebrated the profound benefits, we must now turn our attention to the necessary nuance. While the fear of eggs is largely unfounded for 70% of the population, a responsible discussion requires us to address the remaining 30% of hyper-responders and those with specific pre-existing conditions for whom a daily high egg intake might pose a genuine risk. This isn't about fear-mongering, it's about personalization, which is the cornerstone of modern nutrition. For this significant subset of the population, the liver's homeostatic mechanism is less effective, meaning that a high intake of dietary cholesterol does translate into a measurable and sometimes detrimental rise in serum cholesterol levels, specifically the low-density lipoprotein, or LDL-C, often dubbed the bad cholesterol. Who are these individuals, and how can the US audience identify themselves within this risk category? Firstly, the most critical group is individuals with existing type 2 diabetes. Multiple long-term epidemiological studies have identified a correlation between high egg consumption, often defined as more than 1 per day, and an increased risk of cardiovascular events specifically within the diabetic population. The exact biological mechanism is still debated, but the correlation is robust enough that most cardiologists advise caution. If you are managing type 2 diabetes, your body's unique inflammatory and metabolic environment makes it difficult to process a high cholesterol load safely. A 4-egg-a-day regimen would be highly inadvisable unless strictly monitored by a healthcare professional. Secondly, individuals with pre-existing high LDL cholesterol or documented cardiovascular disease must exercise extreme caution. If you already have compromised arterial function or struggle to keep your LDL levels in a safe range, consuming 600 to 800 milligrams of dietary cholesterol daily is simply too large of a variable to introduce. Your body has already demonstrated a reduced capacity to manage cholesterol efficiently. In these cases, the high protein is still desirable, but the prudent strategy is to balance the yolk, perhaps consuming 2 whole eggs and 2 to 4 additional egg whites, to gain the protein benefits while strictly limiting the cholesterol intake. Thirdly, and less commonly, there are genetic factors at play, such as those who carry the APOE4 gene allele. This genetic marker is associated with an increased susceptibility to both Alzheimer's disease and hyperresponsiveness to dietary fats and cholesterol. For these individuals, a high cholesterol diet can accelerate unfavorable lipid changes. While genetic testing is not universal, it represents a frontier in personalized nutrition where a one-size-fits-all recommendation is fundamentally inadequate. The key message here is empowerment. If you fall into any of these high-risk categories, the solution isn't to live in fear, but to pursue medical diagnostics, specifically a lipid panel, to know your exact biological starting point. Knowledge, not anxiety, is the only shield against risk. We have spent decades fixated on the 200 milligrams of cholesterol in the yolk, but the overwhelming scientific evidence now points to a far more dangerous, consistent, and pervasive culprit in the American diet: saturated and trans fats, and the single greatest delivery vehicle for these fats is the traditional American breakfast plate surrounding the egg. This is the context conundrum. The danger of eating 3 or 4 eggs daily is rarely the egg itself. The danger is the 2 or 3 slices of saturated fat-laden bacon, the sausage patty cooked in its own grease, the tablespoon of butter used to fry the eggs, and the high-fat cheese melted on top. The latest research is unequivocally clear. Dietary saturated fat is the primary driver of increased harmful LDL cholesterol in the majority of the population. It is not the dietary cholesterol in the egg. Therefore, a 4-egg-a-day regimen, if paired with the traditional American breakfast side items, becomes an arterial time bomb, not because of the eggs, but because the accompanying foods are flooding your system with the fats that actively stimulate your liver to produce more harmful LDL. The 4-egg omelet cooked in a massive slab of butter and stuffed with fatty, processed pork is a nutritional disaster. The same 4 eggs, poached or scrambled in a heart-healthy monounsaturated oil like avocado oil, and served with a large portion of fiber-rich spinach or avocado, is a nutritional masterpiece. The distinction is everything. If you are committed to 3 to 4 eggs daily to harness the protein and choline benefits, your safety protocol must be an absolute and non-negotiable rejection of the traditional saturated fat accompaniments. This means replacing sausage and bacon with leaner protein sources like chicken sausage, or incorporating high-fiber, healthy fat foods like avocado and black beans. The fiber component is critical, as soluble fiber actively binds to bile acids, made from cholesterol, in the digestive tract and escorts them out of the body, offering a natural and powerful countermeasure to any potential cholesterol issues. The successful high-egg diet is therefore a low-saturated fat, high-fiber, high-protein diet, with the egg serving as the central, nutrient-dense anchor. This requires a fundamental shift in how we perceive the American breakfast, moving away from the classic meat and fat model toward a more Mediterranean-inspired vegetable and fiber-rich pairing. The decision to eat 3 to 4 eggs daily is not just a scientific one, it's a strategic one. To succeed, you must adopt a strict implementation protocol that maximizes benefit while minimizing the newly identified risks. This 4-step plan is your blueprint for safely incorporating this powerful food into your routine. First, the cooking method mandate. Never cook your daily eggs in butter or animal fat. This is the single most important rule. Switch exclusively to poaching, boiling, or scrambling with monounsaturated fats, specifically avocado oil or high-quality extra virgin olive oil. This simple swap neutralizes the primary source of harmful saturated fat and inflammation in your high-egg meal. Second, the yolk balance strategy, for the cautious. If you fall into a minor risk category, or if you simply want to maximize protein while keeping fat and cholesterol extremely low, implement the 2-to-1 ratio. Instead of 4 whole eggs, eat 2 whole eggs and 4 egg whites. This retains the concentrated cognitive benefits of the choline and lutein in the 2 yolks, while giving you an exceptional 24 to 30 grams of pure lean protein from the 6 whites. This strategy is popular among athletes and is a smart compromise for anyone with minor lipid concerns. Third, fiber and veggies, the essential pairings. Your high-egg meal must be a fiber-fat-protein powerhouse. Eliminate bacon, sausage, and large portions of high-fat cheese. Instead, load your plate with vegetables, spinach, onions, peppers, mushrooms, and a source of healthy fat like a quarter avocado or a tablespoon of chopped nuts. These fiber and antioxidant-rich companions not only make the meal more complete, but actively contribute to heart health by slowing absorption and helping to clear cholesterol pathways. Fourth, the non-negotiable medical checkpoint. Knowledge precedes action. Before fully committing to the 3 to 4 egg daily diet, get a baseline lipid panel from your physician. After 12 weeks on the high egg regimen, get a follow-up panel. This is your personal experiment. If your key metrics, total cholesterol, LDL, and triglycerides, remain stable or improve, you have definitive proof that your body is regulating the intake effectively, and you can proceed with confidence. If they rise significantly, you have medically validated evidence that you are a hyper-responder and must revert to the yolk balance strategy. The great egg debate has finally been settled by modern science, moving the conversation from a place of blind fear to one of personal strategy and intelligent decision-making. The high egg diet is a powerful tool, capable of delivering immense benefits to your muscle, your brain, and your waistline, provided you respect the context, reject the saturated fat companions, and commit to the full protocol. We have spent this time methodically deconstructing the greatest nutritional fear of the last 50 years. You now know that for the majority of the US audience, 3 to 4 eggs a day is not a threat, but a highly effective strategy for peak health, provided you follow the context and protocol. But the egg is only one pillar of your morning ritual. There are 3 other massive, common breakfast mistakes, often done in an attempt to be healthy, that completely negate the benefits of your well-cooked, high-protein egg breakfast. These mistakes compromise your metabolism, sabotage your energy levels, and contribute to long-term health decline far more than a simple egg yolk ever could. To truly optimize your entire routine, you need to understand these hidden morning hazards. Hit the subscribe button if you finally feel liberated from the cholesterol myth, and I'll see you in the next video.